Hello friends, welcome to Saga Thursday. I am Raj, your host. Today we're going to check out a snippet from an interview I did previously with Stephen Holdeman III. This wasn't Franks related, so I pulled it out of those videos, but it was an interesting topic, the topic of what he calls raw saga. I think it's a cool idea, something great for newbies. So we're going to listen to Stephen's take on this.
To slightly diverge for a second, one of the drills people can do is something called raw saga. And raw saga is just starting and having only your activation pool and just the left side of your board or the top side of your board if you're doing CNC. Just play a couple saga games. At a certain point, you start to realize a lot of stuff is going on. Not a lot of stuff is going on. You know all these mechanics. You've been playing it for a while. But your system, if you won your last 4 games out of your 10 raw saga games or something like that, it shows that you probably have a skilled mechanism for using just straight attacks, fatigue, making the best use of things. And if you're a good competitor in that scale, that's what you are going to need to do when you come to something like the Franks to just over-excel, is because you've already gotten a lot of competency. If you play the raw saga with just the Franks board, I think suddenly the Franks board seems like a huge competitor. If you're playing the Vikings, who says, I have all infantry in these bow guys, and I don't know if they're doing the best stuff for me or not. Or the Anglo-Danes are sitting there with all this stuff. Or if we talk about newer boards, the Yolms Vikings don't know what to do without in raw saga. You got some Dane axes, you get some understanding. Obviously, there's some boards that you really don't need to try it out like that. But that's an interesting thing that we take also from chess and stuff. Someone who has a hard time in the pawn endgame, they've gone all the way in, and somehow it's their king and a couple pawns with each side. And they find themselves there all the time. They struggle, and they were up on pawns, but suddenly they lose. They lost. They were in position to get a queen. They don't really understand how they got outplayed by a couple moves or something. So to practice, they'll set down an opponent with all pawns and a king, and all pawns and a king, and they'll play several rounds. And after a bit, you start to get a great competency of how to move your pawns, get a great effective use of your pawns. And so if you do that again with the Franks or some of these others, you go, wow, okay, we're starting to get a lot going. And you can take away some of the stuff. You can modify this as much as you want. If you're not getting something out of it, if you're getting frustrated or whatever, first of all, remember, if you're looking solely to have fun, maybe don't do the drills or something like that. Or honestly, in the reverse, sometimes playing with somebody who has no idea about Saga and you just want to screw around with them, playing raw Saga is something that some of us done sometimes.
That sounds really awesome. Yeah.
Right, you're right.
There's still a lot going on. You know, even just with the basic rules and everything, and movements and fatigue and everything else. So, yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. We get a great idea of when over-activating is appropriate. We get a great idea of when fatigue should be used to burn on somebody or save it for exhaustion. We get all these great mechanics of, do I burn it for movement? And then if I'm playing this with the terrain at the same time, how do I really use this stuff to good effect? Unfortunately, in great usage of terrain, sometimes you can have really boring Saga games. If it's a mismatch or something, a lot of times the Scots playing against the Bretons or the steppe tribes or something, and they get into the rocky ground or something else like that, they say, I'm completely outmaneuvered. Against the Spanish, like, it's going to take me 3 activations to maybe get over there. If it's Spanish, you might Iberia 3 times in the process, or there's no rational competitive reason for me to get out here. Obviously, if you're playing with your buddies and you're drinking, the obligation is to be a man and get out there and fight those guys. We have to respect a lot of things in Saga, especially when it comes to the dice, like I was talking about. You can take someone who's just focused on wanting to compete, like I feel like I am, and go up against a very friendly guy, and he'll shut you down. He'll humble you right away, because small model count, small amount of dice creates great loss when it goes wrong for you. And that's one of the great balancing factors in Saga too, I think, a little bit, is that even hyper-focused, hyper-competitive guys will still times just get their butts handed to them by a guy who just keeps screaming for Valhalla the whole time, and you see him across the hall, and you go, yep, that guy is going to win at Saga. I just know he's going to win at Saga tonight. It has nothing to do with how much you've drilled or practiced. But knowing that, try to get your mind right coming in if you want to do that with Franks. I always drink when I play Saga, but at the same time, you have to be focused, because you must stay focused on your board here too.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip. What are your thoughts on raw saga? Have you ever done anything like that? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and all that jazz. I'm going to catch you guys next week.
Saga!